days in the sunshine of a happy youth, golden days full of innocence and full of truth. In our hearts we remember them all else above, golden days, days of youth and love. How we laughed with a gaiety that had no sting, looking back through memory's haze. We will know life has nothing sweeter than its springtime. Golden days when we're young, golden days.
Hail, O thou effulgent ray of illumination, majestic and supreme, rising into the atmosphere and scattering the wisdom of Almighty God over the entire planet, controlling and functioning throughout nature so as to manifest the perfectionment of nature, rising up into the heart of God from the great central sun, and bestowing the majesty of his comprehension upon all mankind, yea, upon worlds without end. I am come this day, bearing the golden fruit of illumination, and laying it at the feet of the aspirant. I say unto you, it is yours for the asking, for the taking, for the picking up of the torch, and the understanding of the magnificence that lies as treasure within thyself. Within the earth are buried great veins of golden ore, the magnificent substance of God from out the great central sun, highly treasured, for it is a congealment of the manifestation of holy wisdom, treasured by mankind and yet unknown. They know it not. They know not its value upon the person, nor do they understand how it functions to illumine the mind when the various spiritual centers within man are focused in the consonance of cosmic harmony. Cosmic harmony is the manifestation of the mind of God functioning in all domains, everywhere. I say to you all then this day, the treasures of God that are within the domain of the self are the majestic intent of the Father in heaven to move the creation forward into the light of cosmic understanding, when the banalities of ignorance shall be put away, as the maturing individual ascends first in consciousness and intent, and then in physical form, to the majestic reunion with the heart of God. You must understand, precious ones, that the light that is in thee is not darkness but light. Those who will comprehend by the wish to do so, by the longing to do so, by the prayer to do so, they will receive from on high the power of God that makes men to be free. Freedom is more than a word, precious ones. It is the cosmic thought of God playing upon the mind with a full intensity of his goodwill. The goodwill of God plays as a mighty light ray upon the mind of man, and there rises from his consciousness the great fusion of life which combines the individual's manifestation and the divine one. You must understand that the light that is from on high is the gift of God to every man, but that every man must accept it, receive it, and use it for his glory. In the ancient civilizations here in South America, we saw how cosmic travail did produce that which is far, far beyond which you have yet seen in your modern world. We were able to see great highways builded by the early Incas. We were able to see vehicles of transportation which far exceed that which you presently enjoy. We were able to witness the great temples of truth and life and light and love, which grew and manifested by the labor of men's hearts and minds working in universal harmony, until their grandeur surpassed all that modern life and ancient life, in most cases in other continents, has ever manifested. Yet, today, much of the region occupied by those grand temples and cities lies a tangled jungle ruin. Why, gracious ones, is this so? It is so because the minds and hearts of those individuals did not actually keep pace with the scientific advancement which life had vouchsafed unto them. Rather, individuals begin, first of all, within themselves to express some form of inharmony. And then this was transmitted unto other parts of life. And there came into play a vying with one another for recognition and acknowledgement of the dreams of their life and the unfoldment thereof. And so it was by the spirit of competition and the competement of individuals with one another that inharmony rode in, and the civilization led by priests of sacred light who had fallen from their lofty office eventually came down to the banality of ruin. And the ruin that manifested there in South America was very great. But because of the light that they had sent forth, which light ascended unto God, reaching up into the very heavens itself, it was decreed by a karmic law that we should maintain a great spiritual focus of majestic light here. And so at Lake Titicaca, a region relatively unspoiled by mortal thought and feeling, there sprung into manifestation the full focus of the gathered momentum of all of the life streams and their constructive endeavors to merge itself into the great cosmic flame of illumination. The wisdom of God that built those civilizations then itself was gathered, and the flame which rises here at Titicaca is the flame of Almighty God's wisdom, which ascends as a great pillar of witness to all people and all nations. Yet only the few are able to understand the majesty which now and for all time rises into the ethers and pulsates with the flame of divine wisdom for the freeing of mankind. Now then, I ask you in the holy name of God, of what value is wisdom when it is unappropriated? When wisdom goes unused and passes from the screen of mind, feeling, and consciousness, it is as though it were not. Therefore, the wisdom that we have here is meant and intended to be appropriated. You ought to call upon us and ask for a release into your world of the full gathered momentum of God, which we have here for you and all mankind, a cup that you may partake of freely. Yet it must be asked, and you must understand that with the asking goes the great requirement of cosmic opportunity, that you shall balance the use of the golden plume of illumination by cosmic love, using that energy not to extend the domain of your personal self among men or for the aggrandizement of individuals, but for the mutual expression of godliness upon this planet and for the going forth into the world arena of cosmic light and power. This means that all that is discordant in mortal manifestation today can be healed by the right application of universal wisdom. But this wisdom today is not distributed in textbooks. It is not distributed through the media of television. It is not distributed through your radio programming. It is not made available to mankind. Those who do make available to mankind are the commercialized interests of the world, who foster upon mankind all that which would produce a profit for their own individual coffers. You must understand then, and you must call into action the power of the law, so that the supply and the means of assimilation will come into manifestation upon this planet and be used and deployed in the service of the light by divine love. Love, called forth from God, will make men captives of spiritual power. Love, called forth from God, is not subject to mortal decay. It is the power of infinite capacity to accomplish the will of God, and there is no human power that can ever stand against it. All that mankind sees today of human opulence and the expression of that opulence is but a treasure that, as a firefly in the night, shines and glimmers for a moment and then passes away into the dark, a spark that is as though it had never been. Understand then that the cosmic law of infinite splendor that builded the Inca cities and that would make the earth itself to be used will also, in due course of time, when men will appropriate it, make the great expanses of your far west and the lands of the far east and the continent of South America to be flourishing as a nation of an incoming people who will come into embodiment because they have harnessed the light in times past, but are presently waiting the changes that must come into manifestation upon this planet, else the planet will itself be destroyed because it will not have fulfilled its cosmic purpose, and mankind will themselves pull the switch that will trigger the activity of destroying all that has been here. And those individuals who are here who love the light will be taken en masse to other places in universal love, where they will be permitted to outwork their destiny, whereas those goats of human personal manifestation filled with greed will be separated from them, in the words of the great Master Jesus, for he shall separate them in the judgment, the goats from the sheep. Therefore the sheep of his pasture will he preserve, but the intent of God is to see that the earth abideth forever. Yet mankind have some voice in this by their activity, for nature cannot forever submit to the rebellions of mankind, which are legion. They cannot submit to all that mankind are currently doing, and while they are doing this, the mighty Fohat of God is flashing forth the invincible word, and the word goeth forth, and yet mankind hear not the word, and their ears are pleased by other things which could not hold a candle even to the smallest word that we have spoken. For we speak the great cosmic law of eternal values, which signify the preservation in every man's domain of all that he ought to hold near and dear, to see that the constructive activity of God comes forth, and that there is brought into manifestation through the domain of science the great cosmic manifestation whereby the earth can be developed and its full potential realized, that great cities can be builded and spiritual temples and the Christ teachings can be made manifest, so that even the smallest child may come and understand how to master all disease, how to manifest all perfection, how to manifest the great transcendental truth of the law of his being, how to understand that his mind can be touched by the fingers of Almighty God so as to bring forth righteousness, truth, and all that will make the world to be a place of cosmic beauty and love. The golden age is engaged today in a great life and death struggle. You must understand this, precious ones, that it is the power of God that seeks to bring into manifestation the wonders of the golden age, which are contrary to the particular life aspects of man today in his immediate environment. He is today subject to all the fruit of his environment, and therefore he is not today subject to the great passions of the golden age as he ought to be by reason of the density of his mind. It is as though man's spiritual thoughts were frozen, whereas he has unthawed all the awful mortal densities of centuries of man's imperfection. You must understand then that we ourselves are very busy, that we are very determined in our effort for and on behalf of mankind, that which you are presently engaged in is but a little activity which is so important to the world, for there are far, far too few such little activities in manifestation. Yet we are determined to make every effort to see that this activity expands into the great cosmic dimensions of Almighty God, and as a voice of authority upon this planet, to send forth the beacon light from on high, that the beams from the summit shall transmute in mankind all that is discordant and imperfect in manifestation, and prepare the groundwork and the laws that are necessary for the establishment of perfection upon this planet for the millennium and for all time that shall come thereafter. Hear ye my call. Won't you please be seated? Ladies and gentlemen, the great surging power of the illumination ray is pouring out from Lake Titicaca this morning and is sending out into the world the knowledge that something must be done about the awful conditions of this planet. It is a desire of the great goddess Meru to send the beam of comfort to every mother that has suffered in this particular time of life as the result of the awfulness of human degradation poured out constantly upon the earth as a river of smut and as a river of darkness. I say to you then, let us replace all of that with the power of God that makes men free. Let us utilize the great harmonies of cosmic spheres here in physical dimension so that we can actively pursue the bringing in of the kingdom of God among men. I tell you that there is entirely too much sleeping going on among the world, and they sleep and they are concerned with their slumbers more than they are concerned with that which awakens the soul in man and determines in him that he shall pursue the right course of action that shall give him his freedom, and with it shall also convey to all mankind the blessing of their freedom. For today there dwells upon the planet countless individuals who are suffering intently in their own mind and thoughts because they know that they are not free. They ask themselves these questions: why are we here? What is the purpose and meaning of life? And in the vacancy of no answer to their question and their query, they go forth in darkness and despair, often coming to the point where the suicide entity is able to ride in and destroy and blight their mortal reason, so that even their mortal reason cannot speak to them of life, but can only speak to them of the darkness and the despair of the extinguishing of the spark that is within them. What a terrible and fruitless condition this is in the realm of an individual who was given a spine by Almighty God, that he might hold that spine up, that he might sit bolt upright in his consciousness and say, here am I, send me. Here am I offer myself and all that I am in the service of the light, for the light that brought forth into manifestation not only the physical body of man, but the great limitless powers of his mind in its higher extent, has also framed the worlds by faith, so that the mighty planetary sphere rolls in its great orbit around the sun, whereas the sun does orbit around other manifestations of great bodies of light. And finally, there is in manifestation in the great center of the universe, the great central sun home, the great central sun place of life, from which radiates and emanates throughout all space the divine presence of Almighty God, while individuals loll in the slumber of their own self-negating identity and seek to glorify the physical ego and the little person, whereas God reaches out the great munificent and beneficent hands of himself and speaketh unto all and saith, Lo, I am come that ye might have life, and that more abundantly. Life is charged within your bones. Life is charged within your mind. Life is charged within your being, and life is everywhere abundantly manifest. And the call has gone forth from the hearts of mankind, saying, come over here and help us. You have heard of the Macedonian cry. Well, I say unto you, the cry has gone also from Madagascar. It has also gone from the uttermost parts of the earth, and those who desire to respond to it will also hear it even as a tiny child has heard the cry and said, I am going to Madagascar. You must understand the meaning of this. You must understand when life cries out in individuals, it is because there is a summoning of the ageless fruit of cosmic life, which is all around you, and you do not know it, you do not see it, you do not understand it, you do not comprehend it, and you do not seek only in part for the glorious manifestation that it is in reality. Understand then that the goddess Meru has this day done that which very few ascended masters ever do, and yet she has done it for mankind. She has been touched to the point where she has wept for mankind, even as Jesus wept over Lazarus, and she has extended her love throughout the consciousness of the cosmic woman, throughout the consciousness of the divine woman in manifestation, so that all women throughout the planet will understand that they have a need to engender in men the desire for peace upon earth. If we cannot secure peace by turning to the mankind of earth with their great dynamic power, we will turn to the womankind of this planet, and we will say to them in the name of the Holy Cosmic Mother, bring forth the understanding of peace to the world, that the world may understand their mission of cosmic responsibility, and that they will understand that great cities are waiting to be builded, that great understanding is needed to be created, that great light is needed to be disseminated, and that the means for this must come forth from the hearts of the people, and they must stop their sniveling in mortal consciousness and understand that it must be for a cosmic purpose, that the purposes of Almighty God be not thwarted. Currently, they have been thwarted. Currently, they have been denied, and mankind have suffered thereby. Now the great ports of life are extending forth cosmic ships that sail forth throughout the seven seas, and spiritually their cargo is laden with cosmic treasure, the treasures of illumination, the great crystalline diamond rays, the great golden radiance of Christ's truth, the magnificent ruby ray, the understanding of the great power of God throughout all the gems of the earth that will shine forth their illumination to bring to mankind the splendor that is his own. You have heard of the gold from Ophir. You have heard of the shittim wood that was used to construct the Ark of the Covenant. You have heard of all these things. Well, understand that there is a mystical reality to them, and that every one of these things is charged by Almighty God and the angelic host with a specific function to provide a centrosome of cosmic illumination within and from the heart of that gem, which will manifest when it is invoked by mankind and called into action. Now then, let it be clear that here and from our temple of illumination there is arising the power of God's will. The power of God's will. Here, yea, here at Lake Titicaca, the power of God's will from Morya's temple has been summoned. And we have also summoned the great cosmic power of light from St. Germain's realm. And we have summoned beloved Serapis Bey's power, yea, from Luxor, and all of the seven-ray masters, and the illumination's flame is joined by all the flames of God to provide a great cutting torch to cut mankind free at all dimensions from all that ought not ever to have been, but which has been manifest because of mortal slumber and sleep. Hear me now then, and kindle within thyself the flame that is illumination. Kindle within thyself the flame that will rise to the occasion. Kindle within thyself the flame that will free every nation and manifest perfection's flame wherever there lives a soul who calls and states to God, Lo, I am, and I call to thee. I ask for help to make me free. Oh, come now in boldness. Extend the power of light and love and eternal value to my soul and to the world, for the world must needs be free now, lest destruction's hand as a plague of darkness descend upon all lands, and the candle go out and shine no more in thee. Therefore, let Babylon fall, let the destructive commercialization of human greed go down, but let the power of God rise, and let men build a great monolith unto him, unto his name, which forever is emblazoned within every heart, and especially within those who acknowledge it. I reluctantly take my leave of you, for mortal ears and mortal heart and mortal understanding, touched already by the great immortal power of God, has not yet developed the power of fusion to understand how to use all that I have given, and therefore I cannot give more, for the karmic law will not permit. But I have given much to you this day, which if ye appropriate it and use it wisely and well, it will sound a knell to that which ought never to have been, and replace it by that which ought to be, love, light, and liberty, proclaimed throughout all lands by wisdom's flame. In the name of the goddess Meru, I, Meru, thank you and bless you. Beloved ones, children of the heart of God, children of the sacred fire, you are living in an age when tumult and turmoil is prevalent in the world. Many dispensations have been given. Many acts of mercy have been bestowed upon mankind, and we have continued hour after hour to cut them free from the inroads of psychic depredation. We have enabled many to escape their own doings and to receive temporary surcease from distress. Yet mankind have continued to provoke the cosmic law. In their ignorance, they have overextended themselves into the domain of mortal terror and the spreading feelings of hate and hate creation, until the world has become in this age a place of peril to all mankind, and men and women scarcely feel safe within their homes, nor do they feel safe concerning their children. We would point out to all that the feeling of safety and the feeling of peace ought to be a real and genuine feeling, brought about by prayer and attunement with God, and stemming from man's understanding that the hand of God is far more able to protect mankind than all other outer conditions. Yet, as we come to you this morning, we come in order to bring you that feeling of peace and a release from the distress of mortal thought and feeling, which has been brought about in the past by spiritual power and will continue to be a release from on high to those who understand that it is the mercy of God that acts and delivers men from evil. Men have reason to cry out in this age, "Deliver us from evil." They have reason to surround themselves with my circle and sword of blue flame. They have reason to invoke purity they have reason to hold their thoughts high in attunement with the majesty of the divine presence. For surely the things which men have thought, and the things which they have wrought, and that which they have brought upon themselves, has committed them to a repetitious cycle of human terror and viciousness. Throughout the land of America today, from the least unto the greatest, even in your White House, your president is concerned deeply because of this reign of terror that has spread abroad in the land. And knowledge has been passed unto mankind so that they understand completely that that which has been is but a little thing as to that which could well be if mankind do not turn unto God and to the powers of righteousness and light, and serve the power of light with all their heart. In this present day of ignorance, when so much knowledge is spread abroad, and the world is redundant with knowledge, it is essential that the children of the light understand the great power that is resident within the spiritual reservoirs of life, that they understand that throughout the ages godly men and women have builded well, and that spiritual mastery manifest in the hearts of the many has brought about a great spiritual treasure house upon which mankind may draw when they have faith and understand the reality of that house of light filled with the treasures of divine protection. Unfortunately, men do not understand that in the universe the greater number do serve the light, and that it is in the schoolrooms of earth where the billions of life streams dwell in ignorance that there is a continuation of psychic terror and the penetration of man's dense mortal feelings, which have accumulated and provide not an accretion of knowledge, but an effluvia of mortal unrighteousness, which does ride in and affect even those who desire to serve wholly the divine truth, if they are unwary or are caught unawares. Therefore, in this day and age, it is essential that the children of the light, who have the understanding of the great law, will call upon me that I may answer in this day and age, and that the purity of God may be extended into the human domain by the power of light which sustains all life upon the planetary body and gives to mankind the grace to appreciate happiness and its meaning. You must understand, precious ones, that sense happiness is a transitory activity which comes and goes, and those who function and permit their life to flow according to its flow will be up one day and down the next, but those who will dwell and abide in the house of God and will keep their attention upon the great law of life, they will be able to establish equanimity of being. For being is not, gracious ones, a transitory activity where God manifests for one moment and then the evil forces can ride in the next. God is being, and perfect being, in divine control. That which acts then in the name of God is pure and beautiful and lovely and to be desired. This activity, when it is sustained within the domain of human consciousness, will give the greatest satisfaction to the soul, and individuals will find that they can, in life, appreciate many small things which now become great, because they are enhanced by the power which makes men great and makes manifestation greater by divine decree. You must understand, however, that in the world today, the tremendous turmoil and confusion among the various religions of the world, which pit men of supposedly goodwill and good faith against one another, and causes them to stoop to mortal calumny, is never an activity of the divine presence. It is never an activity of light, or an activity of peace, or an activity of the divine creation imaged in God's image. Let all understand then the responsibility which is given to the soul of man to bow its knee to the great presence of life that beats its heart, and comprehend that the activity of life is an activity of God, and that where God is, mortal thought and feeling cannot dominate. Therefore, when mortal thought and feeling dominate, you will always know that God is absent from the consciousness of that one, at least for that moment. Let individuals understand the need to shun states of consciousness which will spread abroad by contagion throughout the domain of human consciousness. Let them understand that they have a solemn responsibility to the Brotherhood, most especially when they have been initiated by the great ones into the higher laws, when their consciousness has been opened and their spiritual eyes are able to perceive and to feel the vibratory action of great light. There is with that blessing an attendant responsibility which enables men to, by the power of example, inspire their brethren to greater things, not to destroy in the vanity of mortal delusion. Surely it must be known unto you that every activity of wrong thought and feeling, of misqualified energy, every activity, for example, which is the antithesis of love and of spiritual power, is ever creating cycles of viciousness through the use of misqualified energy. This viciousness of mortal thought and feeling, for example, hate and hate creations, is actually manufactured, precious ones, and synthesized by those who work in the darkened areas of consciousness. These individuals take no delight in the law of God or the spreading abroad of love, but their whole activity is a vicious and absolutely destructive activity which intends the destruction of all that is pure and holy within your life and within the life of all mankind. These are enemies of the light, and they are tangible and real within their own domain, functioning within the human level. You must understand that they have no reality in the eyes of God, who is too pure to behold iniquity. But they certainly do act where individuals open the door and say, "Come in and sup with me, for I agree with you by the vibratory action of my consciousness." You see, individuals do not have to consciously recognize evil in order to become tools of evil. All they need to do is to affinitize the vibratory action of their world with that of the hordes of darkness and shadow, and there is immediately made a path, an inroad into their thought and feeling world, which will spread abroad according to the level of individuals to expand darkness rather than light. For when individuals concentrate upon themselves and their minds and thoughts and feelings are dedicated to some form of self-aggrandizement, there is no question, even though this be very subtle and they may be apparently ignorant of it, that this activity that comes forth through them will periodically produce the bane of blight upon the beautiful flowers of divine purity and love. Individuals then must understand how to guard themselves as they would against a plague, against such darkening forces which are in no case identified with the soul of the individual, but are from without and manifest within that individual by reason of self-pity, delusion, and every other quality which will ride in because that individual gives birth to it. You must understand then that individuals who will serve the light are frequently made victims of such a terrible activity, which then has as its purpose the destruction of the divine plan and the disturbing of the creation of light and the activity of the ascended masters upon the earthly level. We do not intend to countenance such activity, but you must remember, precious ones, that there are many activities which happen in the world of form which do not meet with divine approval. There is no divine approval for the act of murder. There is no divine approval for the act of psychic murder, which itself is the extension of the energy of an individual in a form of hate creation to reach out while individuals sleep and stop their heart as an activity of mortal terror. You must understand that the hand of God is ever active to preserve, to protect, and to defend the children of the light. But you must also understand that the darkening consciousness of mankind is ever prone to bring him into a state of downward pull, and you must resist it with all of your might and main, as you say, that you may in no way become a part of that which is not divine and will not produce the perfection of the divine plan. It may seem to some of you as though I speak unnecessarily, but I assure you, precious ones, that there is of necessity an activity of intelligence of the Christ which must be bestowed upon mankind so that they will be wiser in the divine generation than they are. Divine individuals are often like lambs for the fleecing. I refer not to divine individuals ascended, but to those divinely orientated below. Individuals pursuing God are often lambs for the fleecing, for they do not realize in their innocence of heart and their desire to do good how that the activities of shadow will take a hold wherever they can and seek to plant their seeds of darkness, mistrust, discord, and inharmony. This is unfortunate, precious ones. It is most unfortunate, but it is the law acting through individuals who produce this and accept this by lowering the consciousness of themselves from the level of their divine presence to the human level. You must understand that all individuals have both a divine presence and a human presence. They have the mortal outer presence, the presence of their own consciousness, of name and fame, that seeks in many cases to do well. But unfortunately, precious ones, when individuals enter into the wrong vibratory action, they become offended at the slightest pretext, and they seek almost to find some cause to give offense. You must understand that this is not the divine way, that the way of the presence is ever to lift and to heal and to purify. The moment a condition, one iota of thought or feeling, is degraded, when the presence of God is acting, the presence speaks to that condition and states to that condition with divine authority, "Be thou healed, return thee instantly to the light." And therefore the little lamb of thought and feeling which has strayed into the thicket is quickly recovered when the divine presence is in control. But when human beings permit themselves to dwell in a sea of degradation and shame, I assure you that it produces a terrible fruit in their world, which is in many cases cause for expulsion from the brotherhood until they can learn to go out into the world of thought and feeling among men and learn the control which God would have all of his children manifest. Yet, precious ones, mercy has been extended again and again to children of the light, where their karma has proven to the great lords of karma that there is ever a desire to do good and to continue to do good. Remember, however, the words of your beloved Saint Germain spoken in the past. Remember his words, precious ones, that even mild dislike is a form of hatred. You must understand then that all that is unconstructive, all that is connected with mortality, often when it rains, produces in mankind seeds of imperfection and shame. These seeds will sprout in other people's consciousness unless they are very careful and preserve with all of the integrity of their being the calmness of mind that loves God first and then loves the mortal self last. You must understand that the love of God is impersonal. You must understand that the love of God is personal. You must understand that the love of God is extended into the domain of the human person in order to change, in order to wrought change therein. But when individuals, by reason of their own turpitude of mind, permit themselves to be drawn down, I ask you, in the name of heaven, what can be done? Are we supposed to take over the control of every individual? Are we supposed to by ourselves enter into individuals and move the power of their will to do God's will when they permit themselves, and I wish you to take note of this, permit themselves to be dragged down? There is always a point in every activity, precious ones, of negation, where the powers of light have control in the realm of individuals. And if you can seize control before you have passed that line, I assure you that it will make it so much easier for you to cast out the unwanted condition and attain for yourself the immaculate concept that will enable you to see the good in others and to evoke it by divine decree. But unless you can cast down all unwanted states of consciousness, you are prone to become a tool of negation. I will tell you why this is so. The powers of darkness in this particular time have reached a point of great fear, for they know that their time is short in human consciousness and control of human beings. They know that the power of the ascended masters spells the doom and end of all that they have sought to do in their lairs of darkness. They know that the time of their judgment and their destruction is at hand, and they therefore have come down unto the earth with great wrath to bring the cup of their wrath to mankind. In this particular time, there is also a great flurry of excitement because many karmic matters of recompense have not been balanced from the past. There is also in this present time of peril activities which have released from out the realm of darkness souls who have not been in embodiment for generations and generations and generations, who have now returned to the planet in flesh form to carry their consciousness to mankind as a further destructive activity in this battle of Armageddon. Indeed, it has well been said that men should not in this day have the mark of the beast in either their hand or their forehead. I will call to your attention the meaning of this. The mark of the beast, precious ones, in the forehead refers to human consciousness orientated around the synthetic vibratory action, which is the human vibration for this age, and which involves mankind in buying and selling goods and receiving mortal goods. You must understand that all men, both saint and sinner so-called, require physical necessities. Therefore, the mark of the beast invades their consciousness to inveigle them, in many cases, into doing things that they normally would never do in order to obtain that which seems to be of necessity to themselves. Mankind must not permit their consciousness to be so inveigled. They must not permit their consciousness to be so degraded. They must not permit their mind to be saturated with the mark of the beast. For the beast is the mark of the bestiality of man, and it is in his mind and in his feeling world. But the mark of the beast in the hand, precious ones, refers to the activity of mankind, whereby that which is in mind comes to hand, and the hands do spread forth the work of the corrupted mind. You must understand then that you must present your hands to God, that they may be cleansed, even as you must present your mind to Christ, that it may be cleansed. Through the activity of cleansing, there is produced the strongest guard, so that you will not take to yourself the mark of the beast in either your forehead or your hand, but will retain the purity of God in your thoughts and feelings to the best of your ability. We assure you that the cosmic powers of light have not created hurdles so high that you cannot jump over them. There is no intent on the part of God to make it impossible for individuals who have erred to return to the fold of light. There is no intention in the eyes of the Brotherhood to disturb or to affright mankind in any way, especially those who are the students of the light. Our every intent is for your upliftment, and the joy that we have prepared at higher levels for you all is a thing of such great wonder and beauty that I almost hesitate to bring it to your attention, following my former words, for it may seem to you to be so much contradictory, because truth is indeed contradictory to error, and you must remember that error does have in connection with it, by the addition of the letter T, the word terror, and it is mortal error that produces mortal terror. Therefore, you must understand the need in this day and age to guard against every such activity, especially in the heart center, where the masters have established now for some time focuses of light for the production of a great activity of illumination to mankind. I think sometimes that individuals are prone to lose sight so quickly in an unguarded moment of all that they hold near and dear. They are so quick to lose sight of all the good that God has poured out upon them in a moment of malfunction and condemnation, that I must this day, as I bring forth this discourse and dictation, call to the attention of all of you the need for vigilance and diligence in all that you do. Remember, precious ones, it is in the unguarded moment that the sinister strategies of the enemy do ride in and attempt to destroy all the beauty of heaven which has been laid as a foundation in your world. And precious ones, if you will pause to think for a moment, you will recognize that it takes a great deal of time, as mortal time is reckoned, for individuals to come to a point of illumination and a point of assimilation where they can assimilate and understand the law. You know, great is the power of light and great is the power of God. But mortal individuals tear down the power of God so quickly that that which God builds over a period of weeks and months and years is destroyed almost in 1 second or a few seconds of mortal activity. Now, if individuals would only understand this, if they would only reckon with it, if they would only intensify their faith in God, they would recognize that these things are true, and they would stand guard each moment to prevent the activity of mortal terrors and errors from riding into their world. Precious ones, I have spoken to you as a prelude to a great intention of the ascended masters of the great white brotherhood which we may desire to express in printed form by documentation. For the time has come when error must be exposed, and individuals must no longer keep their head in the sand as ostriches, but must learn Christ's discrimination as a means to their victory. In the name of heaven, when you have ascended, you do not need these informations, precious ones. You have no need of these tactics once you have obtained your victory. But while you are here, and there is danger of your losing your ascension, or of you losing your victory and all that you have so earnestly worked for, I think it is well for individuals to understand the need to submit and surrender themselves to the will of God. For there is never any danger in this. There is never an activity of destruction. But take note, precious ones, how easily individuals are swayed by the destructive powers of life. If they would only be as easily swayed by the constructive powers, we would long ago have been able to have ascended over 1/3 of the planet. But mankind pay so little attention to constructive activities. They are always prone to pick up and cloud of witness that will lead you to the promised land of your victory and ascension. By this means, you can cut yourself free from attachment to individuals who, in many cases, are so easily deceived and tricked by themselves. Through this great release to yourself, you will find nothing but success in your divine search. And this is our desire. I thank you. O thou wondrous spirit of divine harmony, thou infinite capacity of God good to manifest in the world of form, descend and manifest. The hour of the appearance of the love of God as tangible manifestation in form has come, and the beauty of the appearing of God among men as an advent of new age love and light is now coming into manifestation in all parts of the world. Beloved ones, I come to you this night saturated and charged with the mighty light rays from the heart of God, the full power of regenerate compassion that is able to raise the soul of man out of the density of sense consciousness into the infinite light of God that does not fail. Surrounding every life stream, there is then a manifestation of the great white light of the Christ in infinite manifestation. Transport ye then your consciousness into those Elysian fields of beauty and understanding, where the elements of fear and negation dwell not, and where the tabernacle of God
is with men. Great is the compassion of God, and the fashion of his light is manifesting in the cells of men's bodies, in the cells of their brains, when those brains are cleansed by the power of the descending light of God from all of the manifestation of mortal thought and feeling. When the cells of the brain are cleansed, and the dura mater and the pia mater do not manifest the thickness and density induced by the accumulation of nicotine and other substances deposited as impurity upon the brain of man, where the great rippling power of regeneration cannot then spread and manifest in the continents of the mind, but is dammed up, and the flow is controlled by the activity of human nonsense. Mankind have unfortunately, even before the time of Sir Walter Raleigh, indulged in the unfortunate habit of cigarette smoking and tobacco smoking. This has brought about a tremendous activity in the consciousness of mankind of mortal density. We do not, as we speak to you this night, come before you with our spirit as one to condemn you, but we speak to you as a father unto a son. When you come out from among mankind and put off old things, you become a new man in the Lord Christ, and there is given unto you the mantle of the Spirit, as was conveyed unto you this night by this beloved one through whom I am speaking. Mighty is the power of truth, and whether truth be whispered in the ear or shouted from the housetops does not matter, for truth has inherent within itself the power of deliverance, and deliverance given unto mankind will set them free from all that binds them and bring them to a status of God-freedom, where the air they breathe is indeed saturated with light. When mankind have impure substance in their worlds, unfortunately, precious ones, this impure substance interferes with the oxygenation of the blood, and therefore there is not a manifestation of the pristine state of good health in the consciousness of that one, but rather a darkening densification which causes calcination in many parts of the body and being. You must understand then that as men sow, so shall they reap. You must understand then that the responses men make to the waltzes of Johann Strauss, which I inspired upon him, are indeed the mark of a blithe and gay spirit, a spirit that is free from the jungle beat of syncopated rhythms, those unfortunate manifestations which today are the forte of misguided youth throughout the land. The time has come when repudiation must occur, and men must understand how to walk and to teach their children the great power of freedom, so that there is perpetuated in this world a manifestation of noblesse oblige and greatness. Diplomacy, gracious ones, is a thing of the past in many areas of life, and even the diplomats of this land have exhibited in their statecraft much that was lacked in former times. At the courts of the kings of Europe, where I quite often frequented, there was a greater manifestation of grace and courtesy. Love and the power of love was understood by some of the stately diplomats of that time. Today, there is entirely too much control, hypnotism, and forces of human nonsense that are manifesting even in the departments of state throughout the world. There is entirely too much attempt to control mankind, gracious ones, by other individuals who seek to bring men under dominion, under themselves, and under their thoughts and feelings. We desire you to breathe the air of freedom. we would bestow upon you that bequest which Almighty God has first bestowed upon you. In the name of heaven, do you think that the state of this world and the stench thereof, which has arisen up into the nostrils of the great ones of light, is the creation of God? It is the creation and mockery of God by mortal men who know not what they do. The hour is come, and now is, when the appearing of the great law of God must bring about an understanding within the consciousness of men that shall alter the former state and bring them to a place of regenerate understanding, where the power of God shall flow through them. And then a transformation of consciousness will occur, and they will behold places that they have not known to exist in the universe. Their consciousness will be lifted up, not only to a place where dwells a pink cloud, but where there is a manifestation of such supernal beauty as mankind has never dreamt of in their greatest philosophy. Ladies and gentlemen, the power of the Spirit to convey to mankind grace and beauty is never abated or diminished. It remains untarnished by human concepts. Therefore, it is for you a gilt-edged security which brings to your consciousness the understanding that God, who loveth all men, prepares for them the greatest blessing of all eternity, which shall one day manifest through the raising of their consciousness, until their consciousness shall be capable of catching the great thoughts which he shall throw unto them as a garland is thrown to the prodigal son returning to the Father's house. Men and women must understand that it is the Father's good pleasure to give unto them every blessing and the blessings of his kingdom. They must understand that the spirit of unity and oneness, which is the eternal power of God, is flowing into the world of form and is coupling men together, not in an unholy alliance, but in an alliance of holiness and wholeness, where there is a clean manifestation of divine friendship, where men's souls are exalted and men seek to bring out the best qualities in one another. When this is done, there is a manifestation of supernal greatness, of transcendence in human life. Human affairs then are changed in the twinkling of an eye. Because the thought is changed, there is a manifestation of great power. And the power of the changed thought is the power of God's regeneration, coupling mankind with their own divine presence and bringing a great stream of immortal freedom into manifestation in their world. This, then, is the key of divine love that in this age serves mankind and brings to every generation new hope. New hope because that hope is tangibly manifest. New hope because the chalice of men's consciousness is filled and runneth over with joy. New hope because I am nigh, even at the door. And the consciousness of God, the mighty I am presence within you, is manifesting the fullness of divine being right where you are. Not where another sits, not in the seat of the scornful, but right where you sit in all humility, awaiting the Christ manifestation of regeneration, the great cosmic power of infinite capacity to heal the mind and being of man, to correct the warps and imperfections in the human psyche, and make every individual a princely being, a son of God, a manifestation of cosmic purity. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not wish to intrude upon your thoughts too long, but I wish to bring you some droplets of my love, that as mercy will flow down from on high and charge your worlds with the infinite capacity to do good. Charge your worlds with the infinite capacity to heal yourselves from every disease and all imperfection of thought and feeling. I wish to see that power expand and expand and expand until dignity and rightness of mind is restored to every man. Then you will not see a nation of neurotics, a nation of hate mongers, but a nation of divine lovers, who will bring forth and cause to flourish upon all lands a culture of the Spirit, the understanding of infinite good, and its capacity to amplify itself. When this is understood as the great cosmic law, men will cast aside all the trinkets and trivia of their world, and they will replace it by the indomitable consciousness of infinite victory and the capacity to live as God intends, as a God-free being, a being of such victory as moving brings forth the progress of God into the arena of mortal action. Immortality arise. Immortality take command. Immortality as love dominate the lives of men. For thou bringest to men naught but good, and that good is the propensity to please God first, and one another second, and the self last. Ladies and gentlemen, in the name of freedom and the love of freedom, I salute you, and I thank you for your time and your attention upon the law of your being. I thank you. Thin are the chinks in the armor of men. The need of mankind to straighten their spines, to understand straight knowledge is great. The wind from Darjeeling blows and brings the will of God into prominence. It comes as a white cloud. It is manifest all over the earth, and yet men see it not, for they are not looking. Their eyes they have turned away to other things, and in the den of the cockatrice, mischief is created in their mind. But the great ring of karma and the wheel of the law breaks forth, and behold, the tears upon their cheeks do speak to them of other times and other places, when violations of the law of divine munificence took place and swept them away into the abyss of mortal thought and feeling. We hold the divine image. We hold the purity of the great white cube. We hold the purity of the law. And the city of God is before us. Tender is the hand of God over mankind, and yet the hardness of their hearts has prevented the infiltration of his love. His love is very great. His love is the ageless memory of himself. In those days when the soul of God leaped for joy, and the creation of all things was brought forth by the power of that love in action. Tender is the purity of God. Tender is the purity that soars in the soul as truth that makes men whole. I come to you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, not as a phenomena, but as a real being, one who understands how that you have cried out in the night for assistance, one who understands the secret places of your heart, one that understands, for I have known all human vicissitudes. I have known the terrors that fly by night and the anguish of the soul by day. I have sought and I have been nourished by divine grace, and the milk of God's word has fed my soul until I have grown to become elder brother, yea, to become one whose love is manifesting upon this planet to assist men to understand the evocation of the will of God. The will of God is comforting. It is a mantle of great strength. It is woven out of the power of your aspirations. When your aspirations arise and the power of light within the atoms of your body come to a place where they desire to escape, there is a great surge as of an electric spark, and there flashes forth from within your flesh form that which desires to reunite with a greater self. Then there is an activity of peace. There is an activity of rending the veil. There is an activity that is pure because it exalts the soul, and the soul is glad to attain its freedom, bound, thrice bound, yea, down through the ages, in the vicissitudes and terrors of the flesh. The soul flies free and rejoiceth. O ladies and gentlemen, in all peril that comes to mankind, the comforting presence of life is at hand. If you will only open up the power of faith within your world and understand that we speak in this basic simplicity in order to stir your souls and evoke therefrom a response according to the magnitude of your own heart. I find here in this room some whose hearts are great and some whose hearts are small. In examining the auras of all of you, I commend you to your divine self, and I say unto you all, your divine presence is your salvation and your light. When you will understand the simplicity of a child, you will be able to come out from among mankind, and things that now matter so much to yourselves will no longer matter. And things that at present do not concern you will suddenly come into full concern, and you will perceive before you upon the path the great dawn of cosmic possibility, when the realities of yourself will as shining gems be sought after, when the glory of the great cosmic law will come forth into fresh reality before the screen of your mind, and you will treasure it, and you will ponder upon it, and you will perceive it, and behold, it shall come to pass that joy shall fly out over the waters, and joy shall be like the shimmering sun upon the waters, and there shall be heat and a flash of light, and you will find a reunion with the higher self, principle of principles, divine principle fulfilled, beyond the ken of mortal mind, beyond sense consciousness, beyond the stimulation of outer senses. Therefore, the way will become clearer and clearer to you, and you will rejoice in the clarity of the light, as the light makes manifest to you all those hidden things which have been kept secret since the foundation of the world. The world today knows not the power of our light. The world hungers after our light, and the world is thirsting after our light. yet they know not that which they seek. The youth of the world today flash forth their consciousness in a flaming fury. They flash it forth in search of purity, and yet they are lured by the traps of sense consciousness until there is no reality that comes into their world, but only a vain search that is pounding, pounding, pounding in their ears as the surf itself upon the sands. And as the sands crumble away, so does their consciousness with the passing of the years crumble away into dissolution until there is nothing left but vanity. Now then stands the great towering Christ image, the power of light which God envisioned, the power of light which is the faith that causes life to come into manifestation as God intends. I come this night by dispensation to talk to you of things that are the eternal vows of your soul made unto God in a day before you knew the dimness of human sense perception, in a day before you were entrapped and snared as a fowler has trapped and snared the game. I call your attention that the light of God that does not fail is the great reality of life. Oh yes, I am able to perceive your thought, young man, so clearly, so sweetly. But I shall not tell it or embarrass this soul, for I shall maintain my course. There are those who cannot do this, but they are swayed by the winds of the human mind. The fickleness and vanity of mortal thought has caused any number of individuals to tremble because they are afraid of what others will think of them. Let me tell you, precious ones, for you are precious unto God, that it does not make any difference what mankind think of you. What really counts is what your own divine presence and the lords of karma, the great lords charged with the reading of your karmic record, think of you. This is what is important. It is the requirement of the great law. It is the manifestation of eternal victory. It means your freedom and the freedom of every man. I think that I have stood in the courts of kings. I think that I have stood with the great of the earth, and I have perceived the thoughts of their heart and minds. I am not concerned with the puny ruck of mortal ant concern, but I am concerned with a soul, that it become like a bird in a cage, free. Open the doors then of the bird cage and let fly free the soul to understand what the eternal goals are, what eternal values are, and what is the tranquility of life that will rock you to sleep as a mother rocks a weeping child. I tell you, precious ones, that the magnificence of God has fled from the souls of men, and yet there is a kindling sweeping the earth, stirred by regenerate powers, powers of cosmic light. Do you know that before this convocation and service begun, that legions of mighty angels gathered round this building, that there were angels of blue flame substance and angels of the beautiful substance of holy illumination, that there were angels of divine love and others who came to protect the mighty blessing being conveyed to you this night? Ladies and gentlemen, a tribute to God is deserved by your soul. A tribute to God that will make you whole. A tribute to understanding, to unfurl the banner of our flag. A tribute to understanding that you need not create a drag upon the energies of others who would find their freedom now. The day, the hour has come. The hour has struck. The light of God does not fail. The light of God does not fail. The light of God does not fail. And the vision which I would give to you this night will not escape your mind if you will determine now to anchor it and posit it in your world as an eternal value, the conveyance of one who has mastered life and would guide you with the flaming torch of progressive reality into your own fulfillment of cosmic destiny. The light of God is around you. The light of God is around this city. And although there are those who are immune to it by reason of the insulative force of their own consciousness, connected as it is to lesser things, I tell you that we are opening tonight a doorway in the city where great light can flow to expand here in Detroit and throughout this land the new culture of the ages, the culture of the feeling of regeneration as it stimulates the soul to search eternally for the flame that is within all. Let all evoke it then and derive therefrom its benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not come upon a camel, but I came to you on wings of light. And although I have ridden many camels and have traveled over many desert sands and sat upon many a hump, I assure you that mortal thought and feeling has no interest to me, nor does human opinion and vanity, for I have clean escaped from all that the flesh is prey to, all ills and all substance, and I stand for your freedom today as never before. The day will come when those who do not understand me now will understand me as they see me face to face, and I will clasp their hand in the bond of eternal friendship, in the reality of the eternal foreverness of God. To those of you who love me and who love the cosmic law so well, let me say to you that we will never forsake you, but will see you through every step of the way until there is never any doubt about the fulfillment of your course and the manifestation of your freedom. For behold, the law of God is around you, and the law of God is within you, and the law of God is the law of his love, the law of eternal manifestation descending from above. Ladies and gentlemen, I say to you these words from out the mystic East, which is within thyself and is the great banner of peace. Sholem.